Hi, this is Kenny. Welcome back. This is part 2 of my homemade DIY belt grinder, belt sander 2x72. Just kind of an overview of what I've done. A little bit from the first one was kind of brief. That was the dry run. This is the basic setup of the machine, the basic framework. Alaska Bearhawk is where this original design came from, and I just kind of modified it. The stand and tensioner is here in the top, and this just slides out. It's capped off. There's a 30-pound spring inside. That's what holds the pressure. So it's about 30 pounds of pressure with 1 inch of deflection. The tracking adjustment is here, which is a pretty simple setup with a through bolt. The only difference is I wish I would have done this with fine thread instead of a coarse thread. It would be a little less sensitive. Other than that, it works great. Got the 2-inch wheel here, has a 4-inch drive wheel. The speeds can be changed. This is a really simple setup. It's the weight of the motor. What I have is a large door hinge, and it's welded in place. So the weight of the motor basically is what holds tension on the belt to change speeds. There's one Allen set on this pulley, and all I do is loosen up that Allen set. I can slide this over, and then the belt comes over and it goes to the next ring, whether I want the speed to go up or down. It's worked out great. It's really simple. It was a lot less expensive than using an electronic controller. The motor came from an old bandsaw, so that was repurposed. I've been dragging it around for 10 years, and it finally found a home. So far I've made 2 attachments for this machine. The first one, which was on the dry run originally, and that's the 10-inch wheel. And I did this because the Grizzly wheel was the least expensive. They're about $75. The downfall to the Grizzly wheel is you have to put pillow block bearings and create a drive axle. That kind of adds the price back up, because a decent pillow block bearing, they're about $25 a piece. I could have bought a wheel with bearings already made up for about $125, and I do have another wheel that's that way, that's 6-inch. I'm kind of glad I did that way, because it's a lot simpler and it's a lot less work. But this works great, and I also did a through shaft on it, so if I want at some point I can take and mount a buffing wheel or something of that sense there to it. I also took and made the second attachment, and that is for the platen. And the platen, I tried to keep it really simple. A lot of guys have taken and gone to a pivot mechanism to change the angles of the platen versus the work table, but I made this all fixed. It's all pretty much welded up, with the exception of bolt-on the last 2 parts of the plate. For these drive wheels, I used some really inexpensive resin-based wheels, and I put them on my lathe, turned them down flat, went in, made some cuts, recesses, and actually pressed bearings in and trued them all up. So they work great as far as for the wheels. Now on the setup, I can take and pretty easily go here from the 10-inch wheel. I have everything pre-marked so that I can slide in, set. I have my set screw here to lock. It's just a nut welded in place. Simple Allen bolt, snug it down. That part's done. I can then take my belt and come across around the wheel and up the top. A simple press down, and I'm in a basic setup. And from here, if I need to, I can make a rough adjustment on the tracking, and this is pretty well ready to go. I can tighten it up here, and everything draws into place. Fire it up, and it's pretty well good to go. For this, I made a tool rest over here, and I kind of started out a couple different ways. I made a smaller one. This one's a little bigger. This slides into place, and comes in, goes around the belt. So I have a rest. There's another set screw on the bottom that locks this into place. Same thing, simple nut, just tighten up the bolt and then it's fixed. Remove this back out, and as simple as pressing down, I can drop the belt, leave it hanging there. I can come in and loosen this up, and my 10-inch slides out and comes out of the way. And I can go straight into my platen. Same thing, slides in. I have it pre-marked, so the 72-inch belt comes out just right on the mark. Snug it up. And just comes around, belt up. Same thing, a little push down. Bring it around, set the tracking. And this one's already ready to go. And you can use this as freehand on the platen here. And I also engineered this to where I can come back in with the rest again. And this rest comes in and wraps around and snug that up, and then I can also take and work my pieces there. The other part that I'm going to focus on next is I want to have a rest where I can adjust the angle of the rest with just a couple of simple set screws. That's one of my next projects. I have a smaller rest if I'm doing something that's not as big, that I can also slide it into place. And from a simplicity standpoint, that's where I've tried to keep this and not make things real complicated. It's come together really well. It's been a while since the first video. Sorry it took so long to get this one going, but this is where I am, and I think the next step is kind of finish out and get it all painted up. And I have taken and started actually a rough draft, my first knife blade project. So this is kind of a rough out of the knife blank, and this is a whole new process. I've done other projects on this, basic metal work. You can do woodwork on it, pretty much anything. I also have the 6-inch wheel I'm going to set up. For my mini wheel, I actually just go back here to the back, and that's it. Till next time, thanks for watching.